I'm Kelsey, the unhinged, diehard romantic and fantasy reader.
And I'm Amanda, the insightful thrill seeker and historical fiction nerd. Welcome to our
Yay!
second Lit Bookstores episode. We are so excited. We have a very special guest who's going to be talking about a very special bookstore right here in the Seattle area. So we're very excited. But as always, before we get to the fun stuff, we have to direct you to our socials. So if you're not following us already, we are on Instagram at litvibesonly_podcast. We are also on YouTube and on TikTok at Lit Vibes Only Podcast. So make sure to like, follow, comment, subscribe, all of those wonderful things. We love what we do here on the podcast, and we also love what we're doing on our socials. So if you want to see what's going on, what we're getting into beyond what's on the podcast, make sure to hop over there, say hey, give us your recommendations. If you are not on socials, you can also find us via email. We're at litvibesonlypodcast@gmail.com. And most recently this year, both Kelsey and I started accounts on the Fable app. So if you are not on there yet, you should absolutely join. A really fun feature about this app is that we each run our own book clubs. So if you're really invested in our Lit It or Quit It episodes, you can read along with us, prep for the episodes, share your thoughts and feedback, make predictions about whether or not the book's going to be a lit it or quit it for either Kelsey or I. So please be sure to do that if you haven't already. We're having a great time over there. And then lastly, and most importantly, if you have not yet rated and reviewed our podcast, we kindly ask that you take a moment
Oh,
either
do
right now or at the end of the episode, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast or on Spotify if you're enjoying it and want to hear more from us. And if you're an Apple Podcast, you can write a really short review, 1 or 2 sentences will do. And if you're on Spotify, you can write a comment on this episode or any episode telling us what you think and sharing your thoughts. So welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
so today we want to welcome our wonderful guest, Roxanne, who is the bookstore owner of Haunted Burrow Books in Cap Hill, Seattle.
Woohoo! Welcome,
Hey, Roxanne.
Roxanne.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
We're
we're
so
really
excited
excited
you're
you're
here.
here.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yay. So, one of the first things we do when we have a guest and how we open our episodes in general is we always ask each other, what are we reading right now? So, Roxanne, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. I'm always thrilled to talk about what I'm reading, especially since I usually read 3 or 4 books at a time.
Wow.
I am so happy that there's a book called Tradwife coming out on Tuesday that I am thrilled with. I got an ARC for it and I'm about halfway through.
Ooh.
It
Okay.
is amazing. It's a horror about a tradwife influencer who is so desperate for a child that she gets impregnated with a demon's child.
Oh my
It
God.
is so incredibly well written. The tension is beautiful. It's almost literary in places. I love
Wow.
Wow.
these. I'm so happy to have it in the shop. I'm
Okay.
also reading a fantasy called The Bookshop Below, which is like an ode to magical bookstores. A rather morally gray, fairly incompetent woman inherits a magical bookshop and hijinks ensue. I just love a book about bookstores. I'm one of those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what else am I reading? Oh, I'm reading Make Me a Monster, which is a YA horror, like a Frankenstein retelling. I don't read a lot of YA,
Mhm.
and it's fairly cozy so far, but I heard it gets really dark, so I'm looking
Oh,
forward to that part.
interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's a drastic shift.
Yeah.
Cozy to dark.
Do you normally read multiple books at the same time?
I do.
Okay.
It keeps me from getting bored with any one book. Also,
Fair.
especially because of the bookstore, there are a lot of books that I have to read in order to talk about them with people,
Sure.
or just because so many people have recommended it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there isn't enough time to read everything, but I can try.
And are these like on in like multiple formats, like audiobook, ebook, physical book, or just all physical or all audio or
2 are audio and 1 is a physical book.
okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Because my commute is so long and also because I listen to audiobooks when it's slow at the bookstore, a
Sure.
lot of what I'm reading nowadays I listen. But Tradwife, I got a physical ARC for it, so I'm reading that one at night.
That one sounds
Okay.
particularly fascinating.
It's really good.
Very timely with all the trad wife influencers and
Yeah.
influencing happening.
Oh my gosh. And Demon Baby.
I know that I was not expecting that to come out of your mouth. Like, all right, trad wife influencer interesting than demon baby. It's like, yes,
That's
this
hilarious.
is horror. All right, do you want to go next, Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm still reading the same book that I talked about the weeks prior, Blood Marked by Tracy Dion.
Mm-hmm.
It's great so far. I just, yeah, I'm slowly getting through books these days. Yeah.
And that's the second in the
Mm-hmm.
Legendborn trilogy. So that's
Yeah.
that's a YA book as well, Roxanne. I don't know if you're familiar.
I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oathbound has been really popular.
Actually, I
Yeah.
bought my copy from you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Perfect connection.
Mhm.
I am a huge fan of thrillers, and I usually try to switch things up. I don't normally read 4 or 5 thrillers in a row. I'll read some historical fiction or contemporary fiction. But I've been
Mhm.
on a thriller kick, and I literally just this morning finished What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. And it's my first thriller by her that I've read and enjoyed it. 10 out of 10. The premise is that there's a group of 11-year-old girls who one of them gets attacked by a serial killer in the woods and is stabbed like 17 times and nearly dies, but she survives. And 20 years later, one of the 3 girls wants to come forward with this secret that they've all been keeping, and things just unravel from there. And there were some pretty clever plot twists in there that I didn't fully see coming, which is huge for me because I've read a lot of thrillers at this point. I feel like I'm pretty good at calling the ending. So that was quite satisfying.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm excited to read more of her work now that I've found her. I am surprised I actually haven't heard more about her because it's a solid read. So that's what I just finished. And I need to figure out
You
what I'm going to dive into next.
you do always guess like the plot points.
I feel like, especially for, yeah, I do, I think. So I think for me, as long as there's, because usually in most thrillers, there's multiple twists. It's never just like the one
Uh-huh.
thing. So I usually guess at least one, if not all of them,
Yeah.
but I still find it a very satisfying genre. I know there's some crossover sometimes between horror and thriller. Roxanne, do you also enjoy thrillers?
I do. I haven't been reading many thrillers lately. I found that for some reason, the past year or so, they've been really stressing me out a lot
Oh,
more than
okay.
they used to. But
Very
I
fair.
did pick up Alice Feeney's new book, My Husband's Wife, and it
Oh,
is
yep.
incredibly stressful. I have to read it in pieces. What I didn't mention earlier is that I'm actually reading technically like 10 books right now. The three
Oh
that
my
I
God.
mentioned are just the ones that I'm like actively reading. So,
Okay.
but My Husband's Wife, I am reading that one slowly on the side. But
Okay.
I
Yeah.
have no idea what's going on. If it were like a horror, I would swear something supernatural is going on, but it's
Mm.
not. It's a thriller, and I cannot figure out what the twist is.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I have mixed feelings about Alice Feeney. I feel like some of her books are pretty solid, and some I'm like, this was a mess. But
Sometimes I Lie is one of my favorite thrillers. If
who
you
is
read
it?
that, Sometimes I Lie.
Oh, okay.
By
I'm gonna
Did you
Alice
not
jot
like
this
Feeney.
it?
down. I haven't
Oh,
read that. And is it by Alice Feeney?
Alice.
It is.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've read that one. I'm literally typing it in as we speak.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lie, so I don't forget it for later. Always adding to my TBR. I actually just read, not to spend too much time talking about thrillers, but I just finished
Mhm.
the brand new Mary Kubica thriller that came out, I think last week. It's Not Her. And it was like a solid thriller, like middle of the road, like not amazing, not horrible. It was fine. I was hoping for a little bit more, but it's hard to be a good thriller author.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways to make a story twisty.
It's so
Okay.
funny
Yeah.
because I've read so few, and Amanda has given me some recommendations, but through our lit it or quit it episodes, and I either hate it or I love it, but I mostly hate them.
Yeah. There's no middle of the road for you.
No,
Yeah. You're pretty
because they can
vicious with my
have
picks.
they can have such awful plot holes, and I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so I feel critical of them.
There is a certain level of like things have to unfold just so, and there have to be a series of coincidences sometimes in order for it to work. And sometimes that does drive me crazy with thrillers. So I get
Yeah.
that. All right, but let's do the thing. There's so many questions, and I'm so excited to learn more about you, Roxanne, and your store and the horror genre, which I feel like I'm just starting to dip my toes into. I started like a little bit last year and more this year, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, so Kelsey, take it
So,
away.
yeah. And I think I'll be on the sidelines possibly forever, unless you had a recommendation for me, Roxanne. Because I mostly go to your bookstore when my husband wants to go. I always find something, but he's always talking about the horror bookstore, your bookstore. And you always recommend books for him, and he has a jolly old time.
For being so supportive.
Oh, of course. So, getting into like your origin story, what would you say your horror origin story is? Was there a
Absolutely.
specific book, movie, or moment that made you realize horror is your genre?
There wasn't any specific moment or book. I just remember growing up, the vast majority of books that I picked up were horror of some kind. I started with the Goosebumps books, especially,
Okay.
and I'm bummed that I can't find them nowadays, but they were a choose your own adventure series called Reader Beware, You Choose the Scare. They were a series of
Oh.
Goosebumps books, and I cannot find them anymore, but I loved them so much. After that, I moved on to Edgar Allan Poe, and after
Mhm.
that, I moved on to Stephen King. Then after high school, I went into college mode and real life mode and didn't read
Mhm.
for probably a solid like 6, 7 years.
Okay.
Mhm. Same.
Then after going through a kick of like Russian classics in my late 20s, I picked up Stephen King's Misery and
Oh.
was like, oh, right, I really like horror. And then most of what I picked up after that, I was probably about 30. Most of what I picked up after that was either a horror, a thriller, a dark fantasy, something.
Yeah.
Although I
I
Oh.
do really enjoy a light book every now and then.
You do enjoy it.
A lighter book,
Okay.
like
Wait, what
my
do you I'm curious, what do you consider a lighter book?
Confessions of a Shopaholic,
Okay.
Crazy Rich
Okay.
Asians, Legends and Lattes. I
Okay.
love a cozy book.
Okay. It's a nice balance. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a palate cleanser in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I do remember those Goosebumps books, and I distinctly
Same.
remember not being allowed to read them because,
Really?
oh yeah, that was not allowed in my household. Granted, I grew up as Kelsey already knows this, but like in a very like religious conservative home, and that was
Oh.
not okay. I also was just a huge scaredy cat, so that would.
I actually enjoyed the Goosebump books when I was a kid, which weird. It
Oh,
didn't grow
oh.
into anything, but yeah.
So you used to like horror when you were
Apparently.
when you were
Do you
younger.
remember what your favorite was?
No idea. But yeah, I remember what you're talking about though, those Reader Beware books.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I remember there was a Goosebumps TV show
Oh
for a
yeah.
while because I remember watching a couple episodes at my friend's house, like sneakily. My parents didn't know, and then having like nightmares the next day. But
Oh,
I
yeah,
do
they were
remember.
creepy.
Yeah, they were definitely eerie. So you answered this next question a little bit in terms of like why you would choose then to have a horror themed bookstore specifically, but what do you feel like horror offers that other genres perhaps don't, both as a reader and as a bookseller?
Yeah, there is just an entirely different atmosphere and usually plot structure to horror that for some reason my brain just clicks with. I
Mm,
can't speak for other readers why it clicks with them the way it does, but for me, I really enjoy the downward arc that a character can go on.
mm,
Like in a classic hero's journey or other genres, there's this buildup of a character, trials and tribulations, and then they succeed. And you can see that in their character growth as well.
mm,
What I love about horror is you usually see a character's degradation as they slip down into madness or into desperation. And you just get so many different facets of their personality coming out in these situations where
mm,
they're incredibly vulnerable. I greatly enjoy seeing all those different emotions and thoughts that come out when a character is truly desperate. For
mm.
some reason, it's cathartic for me. I enjoy
Yeah.
reading about it. that psychological breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an interesting way to put it. I love that because obviously, like I said, I don't have much experience with the horror genre, and that just intrigued me.
It's funny because I talk about this so much on this podcast. Like one of my favorite things about the
Yeah.
books that I read is that I love messy characters. I love people behaving badly. And this actually came up most recently in our Wuthering Heights episode because everyone in that book is behaving badly and is just a little
I love
bonkers
that.
and talk about degradation and just like a
For
downward
real.
moral arc. And I think that's another place too where in thrillers, especially psychological thrillers, you can often see that
Mm.
similar unraveling of a character, I guess I should say. And I really like it. And I think that's what has started to pull me into the horror genre because I'm like, it's so much more than just, I don't know, a jump scare, quote unquote. I know we don't have really have jump scares in a book versus a film, but yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. It's a lot more complex and gritty and disturbing. Yeah, to watch someone kind of just come apart at the seams. Yeah.
So thinking about like your love of horror, and then you created a bookstore and you built a bookstore out of that love. What made you choose the name of your bookstore, Haunted Burrow Books?
Oh, yeah, that's complicated. So I knew I wanted it to reference rabbits.
Mm.
It's a joke with me and my significant other that I'm essentially a rabbit at heart. It's my impulsivity, it's my stress levels. I'm made of anxiety. So I knew that it was going to have to be something to do with rabbits. I
Mm.
also just like the idea of a burrow as this really cozy place. And to me, books and books homes like a library or a bookstore are just safe places. And to me, that felt like a burrow.
Yeah.
I feel like I latched on to Haunted because of the iambic pentameter, Haunted Burrow Books, and I didn't realize that until
Oh,
after I was doing like my logo and everything. I'm just like, oh, it's it's iambic.
make Shakespeare proud. It's interesting that you said that you identify as someone who's very anxious and have anxiety, and but you don't find that horror novels exacerbate that.
I don't. I
Okay.
feel generally very safe when I'm reading horror.
Okay.
It definitely feels more like a window than a mirror.
Sure.
It's that's not the case right now with suspense books for some reason.
Yeah,
They are
you
really
were
stressing me
saying.
out, but I can still
Yeah.
do a horror.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because I think most people would equate reading a horror novel with ratcheting up, right? Anxiety
Mhm.
or fear, those deeper concerns. Yeah. I also struggle with anxiety, so I'm like, I don't know that I've ever put those two things together, but that's great. Okay, so talking about your bookstore and its creation and building it from the ground up, when people walk into Haunted Burrow Books, what is the atmosphere that you've created in the shop, and how do you want people to feel when they walk into this horror bookstore?
What I really wanted it to be was a garden witch's library. Everything that I have in the shop, I wanted to give the impression that you're walking into like somewhere magical where someone lives,
Mhm.
that they have collections. So that's why I have the plants, I have the dolls, but everything is just supposed to look really cozy at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm hoping people feel warm and invited in the space while also having it very clear that it's also supposed to be moody. My favorite compliment when people come in is they say it's quote a vibe. I'm just like, I really hope that it's that we're thinking the same vibe.
It definitely is a vibe.
Thank you.
How did you feel when you walked in for the first time, Kelsey?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It was clear it's a horror bookstore. Everything's black, and I appreciated the way that books were organized because they were easy to find. Because obviously, she doesn't just have horror, she also has some fantasy and mystery thriller books,
Mm,
and
okay.
all of those are easy to find in the store. But I feel like your presence, Roxanne, is my favorite part of the store, and
Oh,
being able to chat with you about any book, and if you don't know about it, like you're willing to look it up or look information about it up. So to me, that's what I love about your bookstore.
thank you.
That's why we
Yeah.
love just like local bookstores. Like you can't get that from Amazon or from these massive chain bookstores.
Yeah. So I remember one story you told me you have something in your store that was like in the basement.
I was allowed to go into the basement. The landlords, when I moved into the store, they told me that I was welcome to use the basement for like storage, or if I just wanted to go down and check it out, I could.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff down there because, as I think most people know by now, the building is set for redevelopment in the very near future.
Hmm.
So there isn't really a huge reason to go clear it out unless
Mm.
it's for like sanitary reasons. So there's a lot of stuff down there, and we found a piece of very unusual artwork of this creature, this like robot cyborg thing who's wearing a gas mask and the hose connects to its stomach. And it doesn't
Oh,
have legs. I think it's just its body is shaped like a light bulb. It's strange, but the artist was on the drawing. So I posted it on Instagram and I tagged the artist and the artist saw it and they were like, where did you find this? Turns out they used to live in Seattle and
Wild.
it must have just ended up in the basement from an old, maybe an old tenant or something. But we
wow.
also found some really cool books down there. We
Mm.
found a Maya Angelou, like a kid's book, like a picture book called, it's something like Life Doesn't Scare Me. I think it has
No.
this really weird picture of a dinosaur on it. We also found a piece of artwork, like it looks like a tree or like a pyramid, but it's made out of those like pigeon spikes. I asked the landlord for permission to display it because it's technically it all belongs to them. So I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
they're okay with it. And they're like, yeah, use whatever you want. So
I was
it's all
gonna say some of those things sound like a perfect fit for decor, and basements in and of themselves are just
In general.
in general are
Yeah.
creepy and eerie and have such strange collections of things. So I feel like it's apropos. You went down there and found these things that you could then decorate with. How perfect.
I know I have another question, but I want to ask you this first because I know you got to extend your lease. Do you know how long this current lease goes?
Yeah, the current lease goes through May. After that,
Okay.
I think I might be able to go month to month. I'm not really quite sure what's going to happen after that, though. It's kind of up
Yeah.
in the air. It's possible that I'm going to go non corporeal for a little while and maybe pop up again in a year.
Okay. Yeah. So
We'll
you
keep
still
everything crossed.
have interest in continuing the bookstore.
Yes, I love
Okay.
doing it very
Good.
much. I want to continue. Yeah. Whether or not I'll be able to is the question.
Sure. Thinking about when you started the bookstore, what was something that surprised you since opening the bookstore?
How excited people are about books.
Oh,
I just loved seeing it, especially after maybe before 5, 10 years ago. I feel like ebooks were still really strongly a lot of people's preference. And it
mm,
seems like people are starting to gravitate back towards physical books. And I
Mm,
was just happy to see it.
yeah.
I
yeah.
was also really happy to see that a lot of people are getting into reading, perhaps for the first time since they were very young. And
Mhm.
a lot of it, and this is the only time that I say this, the only time I think it's thanks to TikTok for a
Yep.
lot of it.
Yep.
And I'm not mad about it. I'm just like, for whatever reason,
Hmm.
you are reconnecting with books. I'm so
Hmm.
happy you're doing it. There are a
Yeah.
lot of younger people coming into the store. And I say this as somebody who is turning 40 in a very short amount of time.
Early happy
I
birthday.
when I say younger people, like maybe early 20s,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm so happy to see younger people getting back into reading because I was really worried that a lot of people weren't for the longest time.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think book talk has been really instrumental in getting more people reading again. Like the
Yeah.
massive amount of influence it's had to the point where, as I'm sure you know, like when people are in bookstores, when people are in Target, even they're looking for like, oh, these books are popular on Book Talk, and people
Yes.
are like, these are the Book Talk recommended books to read. It's become its own entity, which is pretty wild. And I do remember the, I don't know, surge of interest in ebooks, especially when Kindles were first coming out. Everyone's like, ditch the paper books, right? The physical books and go with an e-reader. And I feel like that, as you were saying, has started to fade a little bit.
Yeah.
And more people are like, yeah, we're just going to go to an actual bookstore and get a physical copy of something we can hold, which makes me very happy because
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of an actual book, physical book.
Mhm.
So one of the things I'm assuming is challenging as a bookstore owner, I am not a bookstore owner, but I could imagine, is that obviously you have your own taste, your own interests, the books that you
Mhm.
love. So how do you balance that with also stocking a bookstore that's going to appeal to a wider audience?
Much of it was accepting or knowing that my taste should not dictate someone else's tastes.
Hmm.
Just because I don't like a book or a genre isn't my thing doesn't mean that somebody else shouldn't pick it up and shouldn't love it.
Hmm.
And I'm just happy when somebody is reading and connecting with a book that they love. I don't care if I don't like it. That's not for me to say. I am so happy to put that book in their hands if that's what they're going to jive with.
Hmm.
So I have a hard time stocking certain sections because I am not well versed in those genres. Because I don't enjoy certain genres,
Hmm.
even if I was widely read in them, I still wouldn't really know what's like good because they're not my thing. Like,
Sure.
I'm never going to
Yeah.
be able to figure out what is a quote good romance book because romance isn't my thing. So I actually enlist friends to tell me like, hey, what is what should I have on my romance shelves? And I should say there are like two people right now who I owe a lot of thanks to. One is a friend named Danielle who's been working in bookstores for a long time, who has been helping me since I first pitched the idea of a bookstore to her over a year ago. And another one is the owners of Beguiled Books in Pioneer
Oh,
Square. I
yes.
Yeah.
recently reached out to them, especially for some BIPOC romance recommendations, and they
Hmm.
totally came through for me. To get back to your actual question, like how do I figure out how to stock based off of either my tastes or what my tastes are not? It's I go a lot based on recommendations, what other people tell me that they have been enjoying, especially in genres that I'm not really into or not familiar with. I
Hmm.
have friends that have helped me with my sci-fi section, with my graphica section. What else? Horror, I largely do either by
Hmm.
myself or recommendations from customers at the store. I don't read a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
splatterpunk, so I took a lot of recommendations for splatterpunk horror. Yeah, it's been a community effort.
That's amazing. I guess I'm curious because I haven't been to your
Great.
bookstore yet. It sounds like you have a variety of genres beyond horror.
I
So even though it's a
do.
horror themed bookstore, folks can come and find pretty much anything. Is that a fair assumption?
I
Across
wouldn't say
genres.
anything. I would say that I try to have something for almost everyone. I have what I call my island of lost books, which is
Okay.
like some popular general fiction and general nonfiction for, say, your friend dragged you in because they wanted to check out the horror and fantasy bookstore.
Sure.
And then from
Or
my
your
island of lost
husband.
books, you might find something there. But most of what I have is on the darker side or fantasy. So
Okay.
nowadays, I like to say I'm a horror and fantasy bookstore rather than
Okay.
just a horror themed. So my nonfiction section is a lot of either horror or true crime focused things. My graphica section is either a horror or fantasy. My kids section is all either horror or fantasy with some
Yeah.
exceptions.
Okay.
So I probably don't have something for everyone, but I tried to cover all my bases.
Yeah, it
Well,
sounds like it. Absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned Beguiled Books a moment ago because we actually had her on the podcast.
I love
The
them.
owner, she was our
yeah.
first Lit Bookstores interview.
Oh,
So,
Hmm.
and it was great.
Yeah.
We had such a wonderful conversation. So, dialing in more specifically to the horror genre itself and horror books specifically, in your opinion, what makes a horror book unforgettable to you?
the narration to me, it's how insightful is the writing outside of the story. It's one of the reasons why I really love. There are two books that I'll say that are my absolute favorites for what is in my store right now, and two of those are The Last House on Needless Street and The Hollow Places.
Mm.
And the reason being the narration. There are just some things that will pop out like that is so incredibly insightful. And there are things that are scattered throughout these books that just make you stop and go, wow, I just never thought of this situation in that way before. So I feel like there are a lot of books that I'll enjoy for the dialogue or the character development or the plot. But what really makes a book engaging for me and what will make me keep picking it up is there's something in the writing and the narration that I just wouldn't have thought of myself. And I wanted to hear that author's perspective on it.
Do you prefer first or third person
I don't have a
narration?
preference. I
Okay.
just don't like second.
Okay. Oh yeah, same.
I want to go back to a comment you made in the last question where I just appreciate the call out of your taste is your taste and we get to respect other people's, or that you do respect other folks' taste and it's not about judgment. And that's really what Amanda and I try to promote here on the podcast. While we have fun with each other and we tease each other about books that we may or may not like it's us like engaging with text that we might not have otherwise. And ultimately Amanda's taste is going to be Amanda's taste and my taste is going to be my taste. And we continue reading books from each other's preferences and have at it. So
and sometimes we find
fun.
things we really love. I've been surprised many times in the past year and a half by books that I would have never picked up ever if I hadn't been forced to read them. And I'm like, oh, I actually really did enjoy the ACOTAR series. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, and vice versa. Although I have less, I would say.
It's fine.
But anyway, thinking about diving more into your horror taste, are there horror subgenres you think are like wildly underrated?
Underrated. Oh dear. I guess I would need to know what people don't think highly of in horror. And I guess I just don't. I guess I don't know what would be underrated because most people that I interact with regarding horror love everything in the genre.
We could switch up the question and that what are the horror subgenres that you love?
I love suspenseful horror. I love possession horror. Absolutely love a good possession.
I was like, hold on, what is that? Okay, yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
I need to pick back up. I started it and I put it down. The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. It's incredible so far. But I had to put it down because I needed to read something else. The Exorcist is one of my favorite books. My Best Friend's Exorcism, my favorite Grady Hendrix book. What else do I really like? There are many, but someone recently called them exorcism book. And I'm like, no, it's about the possession. It's about the loss of control. It's about the stress of having this deep. Come Closer is my favorite possession book.
Okay.
Sarah Grant. It's bite-sized. It's incredibly well-paced. I read it in 2 days and I'm not a fast reader. I absolutely love that book. I love possession books.
Also, just so you know, I'm like jotting down all of these books as you're.
Amanda's like, hold on, wait, what was that again?
I'm not kidding. I'm very much trying to expand my excursion into the horror genre, and so anytime folks have recommendations, I'm like, okay, let me check this one out. I love that. I know that the movie is about an exorcism, but have you seen The Exorcist? Is that a movie that you're like? I guess I should ask, are you into horror films as well?
I'm not.
Okay.
I finally saw Sinners last week. I don't like movies is the thing.
Okay.
I'm not really a movie person, but usually when I really like a movie, it's a horror. My favorite movie is The Shining.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I said, I just watched Sinners last week. It was incredible.
So
Although
so
for a vampire movie, the vampire showed up a little late. Everything. I loved the storyline. I loved the cinematography. I loved the actors in it. It was just absolutely incredible.
So good.
I think the vampires could have showed up a little earlier.
And here's me on the other side of it. I was like, you know what? They could have waited a little bit longer.
Amanda's not
Oh,
huge
it
into
doesn't even
vampires. Yeah.
need vampires.
No, but it is an excellent movie. Absolutely. It deserves
Yes.
all of the accolades and awards that it's been receiving and getting nominated for. To kind of wrap up this section of questions, you obviously started reading horror when you were very young and then took a break and came back to it. How do you feel like your taste in horror novels and in the horror genre has evolved over time, or do you feel like it's been pretty consistent throughout in terms of what you enjoy about the horror genre?
I'd say it's mostly been pretty consistent. It seems like I enjoy a lot of the same things that I enjoyed back when I was 10 years old and reading a Goosebumps book. I would say that I went through a suspense and thriller kick
Hmm.
maybe 5 years ago. And as I already mentioned, I'm just not doing suspense and thrillers right now, other than trying to slowly get through that Alice Feeney book. But I think a lot of what I read back then, other than upping the maturity level of the type of books,
Hmm.
a lot of what I'm looking for is the same. I'm looking for characters that are showing me who they are. I'm looking for suspense. It's what I love about Stephen King books. When I was a teenager, I tore through most of his books. I got 20 mass market paperbacks at a garage sale
Whoa.
one day when I was a teenager, and I tore through them. I think he does suspense and character development very well.
Mm,
Still go through a book of Edgar Allan Poe's short stories. Hop Frog is one of my favorite stories to this day.
mm,
It's incredible. It's this imprisoned, or rather an enslaved dwarf, enslaved by the king to be a court jester, gets his revenge. It's an incredible revenge story.
That's
Yeah.
so Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes.
It's very
Again,
on
it's called
brand for
Hop
him.
Frog. It's my favorite.
Because isn't he wrote, what is it? It's the Cask of Amontillado. Is it Amontillado or Amontillado? That's him as well, right?
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like
did that one in
he
middle
writes
school.
revenge.
So good. It's so good.
I do remember reading his short stories when I was younger and very much enjoying them. So I guess there has always been maybe a small part of me that has enjoyed horror.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned, what was it, mass market or mass, what are they called? Those
Yeah, mass
books.
market paperbacks or pocket paperbacks.
Yeah.
Those are going away.
Yeah, my friend just sent me this video, actually us, Amanda, on
Hmm.
our Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Just that they're, yeah, exactly what you just said. They're out of style now and they're going away. But that was
Hmm.
one of the ways that Stephen King got his like fame and like
Hmm.
entry point, because his books were so accessible to folks. But yeah, I definitely see, again, like we were talking, thanks to TikTok, people are reading more, but also there is this shift in style, right? Where it's like people just want the pretty large hardback books they can put on their shelves and display. And so
Hmm.
there is this shift in the types of books as well.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
aesthetic.
Yeah. Shifting gears, bringing yourself back to the bookstore. Did you realize giving book recommendations would be like this new skill you'd be talking about daily with folks?
It's what I was hoping for. I know a
Yay.
lot of people say that they want to open a bookstore or become librarians because they like to read.
Mm,
I did it because I like talking about books.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of reading on the clock while I had the bookstore open. This was about because I love talking to people about what they and I are reading and
Hmm.
making
Uh-huh.
recommendations and seeing if we can find a book that the other person will enjoy, and
Hmm.
maybe following up in a month. Did you like the book?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah,
you doing
absolutely.
now? Yeah.
What's next?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. When you come into the bookstore, it's so clear that you love talking about books. So that comes off very clearly. How would you read a customer? Or do you look for specific clues when you're trying to help them?
I'm pretty straightforward. I just ask. Some people
Tell
don't need
me.
recommendations. Some people just like to browse,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or they'll say that they liked this and that author, and I'm just like, I'm happy to show you a couple authors that might be similar.
Hmm.
Some people, for example, if they say they like Laird Barron, I'd recommend Thomas Ligotti or even Haley Piper if they want something modern. If they liked Sylvia Moreno Garcia, have you read Isabel Cañas? Or if they're looking for a specific feel, I think you asked earlier, what if somebody isn't into horror? I might rephrase that if like they're just getting into horror, like what is a good introductory book? I have a few books that I'll always recommend to somebody who's newer to horror.
Mhm.
Like The Last House on Needless Street feels more like a suspense at times than a horror, so I'll often put that one into people's hands and see if they like that. Or do they want something fast paced? Do they want something more gothic? Do they want something that has stronger character development? Maybe something where the horror is more unknowable rather than straightforward.
Mhm.
I try to have a few titles like in my back pocket so I can find a few recommendations quickly to get the ball rolling. And then they'll either let me know, are we going in the right direction or not? And I'll try to pivot from there. But
Yeah.
thankfully, most people have an idea of what they're looking for, or they'll have at least a few clues to lead me in the right direction so I can help them.
Yeah.
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 I'm curious, instead of asking you this next question, since you've already answered it, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So I obviously love thrillers. I really love psychological thrillers. So if I were to come into your shop and be like, hey, Roxanne, I love psychological thrillers. They're my jam, but I want to shift more into horror. I'm curious
Yeah.
what kind of books you would recommend for me.
So, in addition to The Last House on Needless Street,
Okay.
I might recommend a book called The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias, I believe.
Okay.
Or I would recommend something like The Troop by Nick Cutter because these are really fast paced books and they're not necessarily focused on creeping dread, but
Okay.
rather the plot and what's going on to these characters. Like The Devil Takes You Home, there's a mission, there's a cartel, there's desperation, there's all that kind of like fast paced stuff that you might find in like an action movie. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
The Troop, it's like Lord of the Flies, but with tapeworms. It
Oh.
has a closed environment. Nobody leaves, nobody comes in. You
Mm-hmm.
have people slowly uncovering this very desperate situation, trying to figure out what they're going to do. That one does have some animal violence in it, so I try to give people content warnings for that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But and then also again, The Last House on Needless Street because it is twisty and it is more
Yes.
suspenseful. Yeah.
Okay. Put it on there. I was also just thinking, so my other top genre, which you might have picked up in my little intro blurb, is that I love historical fiction. And
Ooh.
I recently read The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell.
Oh, that's
Um,
coming up for our book club.
oh, yeah. So I recommended it for my book club. We're currently reading it for
Ah.
this month. Because I was like, guys. So I also really like horror that is similar to that. So it's historical fiction and it's blending with horror and it's just so eerie. And it just
Mm.
creates like this suspense. So I'm curious if there are other books that come to mind that might fit or might be similar to that book because I
Okay.
really liked it. And if not, that's okay. I realize I'm totally putting you on the spot right now, but I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my jam.
Let me think for a second because I don't have my shelves in front of me.
Sure.
Most of the historical horrors I can think of are more gothic.
That's great. I love gothic horror.
Okay, if you want something historical and gothic, I'd
Uh-huh.
recommend Hacienda.
Okay. Oh, I've heard of this one. Okay. I
It's
think it might.
it's so creepy. What I love about Kanyas's writing is that it's steeped in culture,
Mm,
absolutely dripping with the character's environment. It's one of those books that you can't take out of. That one's set in Mexico.
hmm
The Possession of Albedias is set in Spain, but you can't take these books out of their environment and plop them down in Kansas or New
Yeah.
York. Like they have to take place where they are. It's because mostly of the character interactions and how they're raised to deal with certain situations. I absolutely love her writing too. It's so foreboding at times, but
hmm
it's also very beautifully written.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the writing. Kelsey and I
Yeah.
often talk about this. I'm one of those people who are like,
Yeah.
really, that's really important to me. And if I know for some folks it's not, they're just like, that's not what I'm looking for is like how good of a
Yeah.
writer the author is per se and like their style, but I love that. That makes me even more excited to check. And I'm assuming all of these books that you just recommended you have in your shop.
Yes.
Great. I will have to swing by because I work in Cap Hill, so I'll have to swing
Yeah.
by, pick up a couple.
You
Okay.
definitely should. Shifting again topics, but thinking about again the genre in general, do you think horror can be healing or cathartic?
Mm.
I do. I feel like, especially a really strong ending. So I think sometimes with healing, emotional healing, I think sometimes it's not about getting the resolution that you want as much as the one that you feel like makes sense because it's validating.
Mm.
And I think that if if there was a situation that was just incredibly traumatizing and things went horribly wrong and it's never going to be the same again because things are just broken. If for some reason you had a happy ending where everything was fluffy and fine, that would almost feel like gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be like, no, that's not how it works. That's not what makes sense in my head based on my experience and based on what I know about the world. You're lying.
Mm-hmm.
If I see that instead, that ending that is honest, that makes sense based off of everything you've told me about this story so far, I would feel connected to that book. I would feel like, yes, this is right. This
Yeah.
isn't what I want, but it is what is right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
That
great
makes a lot of
answer.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because you were talking earlier about horror as a genre in which you do see characters falling apart and going through really difficult things. And that I think you used
Mm-hmm.
the term degradation that's happening over the course of the novel. And because horror has the ability to get into some of those dark spaces and places, I think it can be a place for people to process and to feel like their lived experiences are being seen and talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely agree. And I don't think that's something people often think about when they think about horror either. So that was also just like a really great
Mm-hmm.
question to ask, Kelsey. I think people just think it's about like the gore, this being scared, and it's so much more than
Mm-hmm.
that. Horror provides this really great venue for us to explore, again, as you said, Roxanne, these other facets of humanity and the human experience that can be brushed over in other genres sometimes, and can feel like too dark for other genres. So, yeah, absolutely. And I think to build off of that, are there particular authors or books that you feel seen like in their work and what they've put out there?
Probably anything in which the plot revolves around feminine rage. There's a book that I'm reading right now called The Mad Wife. And I know, and same goes with a book called The Hounding. The Hounding is a horror, a historical horror, and Mad Wife is more of a, it, I guess it's technically historical, just a few decades prior, but it's more of a thriller.
Mm.
Anything where women are being held down by their circumstances or but what people think women should be
Mm.
or how women should act or behave. It just pisses me off. Because thankfully I was raised by a woman who taught me to not just be strong and independent, but to know who I am and to not take shit from the world if
Hmm.
they tell me that I'm something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So books like that, where there is a lot of raging against injustices to women, those books
Hmm.
will
Resonate.
they'll go one way or the other. Either I will tear through them, or I will get so angry that I'll need to put it down for a while.
I can absolutely agree. I actually just read Frida McFadden's new book that again just came out, Dear Debbie, and it's all about this midwife just like on a rampage, and it's kind of great.
I'll have to pick it up.
Yeah, yeah. Did I say midwife or housewife? I meant to say housewife.
Midlife.
Oh,
I was like,
sorry.
okay.
Not a
Okay,
midwife,
I'm
a
like,
housewife.
Housewife.
A housewife, sorry. Going on a rampage, and I found it very, cathartic and just like a release. Being a woman in this world sometimes it's
Interesting.
just like, oh, I just need to throttle someone. And it was nice to let that out through that book.
Fair.
So I think it's great.
there is a historical that I should recommend because you asked for historical
Oh,
horror.
yeah.
Brahms' book Slewfoot. It's a witchy horror,
Okay.
but
Ooh.
the this woman, it takes place in Puritan times, and this woman who's not from the Puritan community marries in, so she's not of their ways, but she is
Oh.
so strategic and headstrong. I love this character so much. So if you want a character that you can just like root for the entire way
Hmm.
until she's literally becoming a witch, then and even then you're just like, this was justified.
That's fine.
I'd recommend that one too.
And wait, so what
That's
is the title
fun.
one more time?
Slewfoot.
Slewfoot. Okay,
Amazing
got it.
artwork as well. Yeah.
Oh, yay, perfect. Thank you.
That's great.
Getting a whole list going here. This is fantastic.
Switching gears again. I keep saying that.
I
Like,
should say
what
my
else? What kind of community are you hoping to create and build through the store?
yeah, I am extremely fortunate that people are down to join us for book clubs. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's an hour of everybody talking about a book. I
Yeah.
was also doing write-ins for a little bit, but they were touch and go. I might not be doing them anymore, but I
Mm,
really was hoping to foster a bit more of the writing community as well as the
yeah.
reading community. But I love that the book clubs have taken off. Absolutely adore
Yeah.
it. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
Such a great way to connect with other readers. Like
Mm-hmm.
it truly is. So we're like getting to the last little bit here, and so we got some fun questions, and this is one of them. So if haunted Burrow books were a horror trope, what do you
Oh,
think it would be and why? And it's okay if you need to think about this one for a minute because it's a little off the wall.
it's
Just the fun.
I think that I was secretly a witch, and that's how I read as much as I do. In
Yes.
reality, it's audiobooks. But I think the trope would be that I rush in the door at 2 minutes before opening and I use my magic to clean everything up and straighten all the books. And I don't know. I don't know. This is really just like me wishing I had powers in the morning.
That would be the perfect time to have powers,
It
is the
would.
morning.
Yes. It's
If there was
getting it's
any
giving
time of the day.
it's giving very like fairy tale Lost in the Wood princess vibes who's like singing and the animals are coming in and helping her clean.
There you
Oh,
go.
I love that. Especially bunnies. If so, I
Yes.
have a couple rabbits and clowns in the store. If they could
Mhm.
like actually come to life and help me out,
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
two clowns, and in addition to my mascot rabbit, I have thank you to somebody who works across the street from me. They came in with this amazing little gold painted rabbit figurine that they found at like a thrift
Fun.
store, and they're like,
Mhm.
I don't have a place for this anymore. Do you want it? I'm just like, yes, I do.
Yes.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Love
like the idea of
that.
them all coming alive in the morning and helping you straighten up and then just that's perfect. So again, so on brand for haunted Burrow books.
And then thinking about what is your dream like event or author visit if you could have anybody in your store?
Anybody? Maybe Sarah Gran,
Okay.
Katrina Ward, Isabel Cañas. You know what? I would have said Jane Stanton Hitchcock. Unfortunately, she passed away recently, but
Oh.
she
Mm,
wrote and these incredible thrillers that were like rich people fiction. They all involved socialites in New York.
oh,
I love her
fun.
books so much. And I know Ruth Ware is
Yeah,
controversial, but I love Ruth Ware. I
I
would
do
just
too.
like to meet her. I do.
Oh my gosh, why is she controversial?
A lot of people say that her protagonists tend to be the stereotypical fragile woman, but
Oh,
to me that like just amps up the anxiety for me. Like for me, for a protagonist to be really fragile and not really knowing what to do in a situation and maybe not really being able to advocate for herself, I'm just like, I get that. I've been there before.
Yep.
Yeah, this would
Yep.
absolutely make the situation worse.
Same. Yeah, I actually hadn't heard that criticism of her work before, but yeah, I guess I could see it, but it doesn't at all bother me. I'm like, yeah, I relate. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna do like our fun lightning round, rapid fire round. So this is just like really quick off the cuff responses that we'll just blow right through, and then we'll give you a chance at the end just to plug your bookstore, and if you have socials, etc., that people can find you on, we'll include that as well. So first for our lightning round, what is one horror book you wish more people talked about?
Clowns versus spiders.
Is
I
that the
will
name of the book?
It's the name of the book. It's a horror comedy about
Oh.
a troupe of clowns that get fired from their circus because of budget cuts, and they have to go work at a haunted house as evil clowns, and they hate it. And
Oh my
all
God.
day they're hearing about how people think that clowns are evil and scary and that they hate clowns. They're making little kids cry. But then one day, giant spiders invade. And after trying to run and trying to hide, they realize what they need to do is raise up and defeat the spiders to defend the good name of clowns. 10/10. I love this book so much.
Oh
It's
my
laugh
God.
out loud funny.
Just
That
hearing
sounds
the description sounds,
hilarious.
it does. It
Oh
sounds
my
so funny.
God.
It's
Wait,
so
but
good.
is it actually scary or is it like it sounds like it's comedy.
At times it's scary.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
horror comedy can go one of two ways. You can either take a serious situation and make it silly, or you can take a silly situation and make it serious.
Sure.
And I think that they took a silly situation and made it serious.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
some of them do not make it. Some of
Oh
them die.
God.
And
Okay.
the ending is so good. The
The
climax is
clowns.
amazing. And people, the entire time, the townspeople think that they're evil clowns because they're dressed up in their evil
Yeah.
clown makeup
Right.
because they
Right.
came straight from work. And
Oh
they're
my
like
goodness.
fighting off these horrible spiders, and people are like, "Those evil clowns!" Shut up. I'm like, "No, they're saving you."
Oh,
That
that's
sounds like something I
hilarious.
might have to read actually.
It's so good.
Oh my God. Okay. Horror book that genuinely scared you.
2, The Exorcist. And to answer your question from earlier, I actually have not. I don't believe I've seen the movie.
Oh, okay.
I've seen parts of it, and it seemed gross, but the book The
Yeah.
Exorcist was genuinely scary, and it has some wonderful conversations about whether the little girl might actually be psychic. There is
Oh.
the battle of wills in the book is so much more about trying to extract the information from that they need from this demon, and the demon is just trying to outsmart them the entire time. It's amazing. The other one that genuinely scared me is The Ritual by Adam Neville. It is so incredibly atmospheric. It's like a witch in the woods book, but the writing, it just grabs you and it doesn't let go.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll have to try that one too.
Yeah.
We'll see.
There's also
I
a
didn't like
dark
the
room.
movie. I tried watching the movie for The Ritual and I didn't like it. But I need movies to be. It was a very visual movie, and those don't hold my attention.
That's fair. That is fair. Okay, next one. Flip side. What is a comfort horror read for you?
I recently started reading Rachel Harrison, who's
Uh-huh.
I love her new book, Play Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, you read it?
I read it, yeah.
It's so good.
It's so
The
good.
dynamics between the sisters
Yeah,
was
it was
just
great.
so well done.
That was a good one
That's
for me
fun.
because it was like not too scary and it
Yeah.
does have some really good like social commentary in there as well. Because I know she has a lot of like feminist horror. Yeah, I really liked it. I need to read. Actually, I read Cackle as well
That
recently.
was really cozy
I
too.
loved Cackle and I love
Yeah.
Ralph the spider. He's adorable and probably not scary like the spiders in Clown versus Spiders.
Spiders. Horror you refuse to read.
Splatterpunk, because I just don't have the stomach for it. I'm not really into body horror very much. The Troop,
Okay.
Nick Cutter's The Troop that was like the limit of what I can handle. Although there is a splatterpunk book that's been really popular at my store recently called The Har.
Okay.
I think it's by Sodergren. I think, but it apparently has a lot about grief in it. And the amount of people that have recommended it to me have almost convinced me to read it,
Oh,
but still, I'm just not a splatterpunk reader.
Yeah, can't do
Yeah.
gore either. It's not for me.
No.
That's such a funny name.
Splatterpunk.
Oh, splatterpunk.
Because it makes it sound like it's not as It sounds lighthearted. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it reminds me of the group. What is on Nickelodeon? These are slime people. That's
Oh
what it makes me
yeah.
think of. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay.
hilarious.
If someone reads one horror book this year and they're interested in horror, so you're not pushing it on anyone. If someone reads one horror book this year, it should be what?
Come Closer.
Come Closer. Okay. Is that on my list? You gave me that one earlier. Yes, it's on there. Okay.
Oh, great. Okay, and then the final portion, which we found you've read one of the books that we've done Lit It or Quit It episodes for, was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, a Lit It or Quit It for you.
Lit it, but only if you enjoy gothic. Otherwise, it might be really boring.
That's fair. I just think so many
Yeah.
people who have seen this trailer for the new movie are going to be vastly disappointed if they're like, oh my gosh, it's a romance. Let me read this lovely romantic. It's not a romance, in my opinion. It's not a romance. Awesome. Okay. Then to finally
Yay.
wrap things up, we definitely want folks to be able to find you, connect with you, go to your bookstore if they're local. So can you just tell folks where you're located and if you have socials and places where they can connect with you?
Awesome. I'm happy to have you. It's located at 430 15th Ave East, right on the same block as the Punk Rock Flea Market, which we love. I'm on social media, Instagram at Haunted Burrow Books. And if you want to check out our events, there is always a running list of events at hauntedburrowbooks.com.
Awesome. Thank
Yay.
you. I will definitely be stopping in the bookstore soon, especially because you're so close to where I work. So I'm excited to pick up some of these recommendations and do a little bit more exploration of the horror genre.
Perusing.
So happy to see you both soon.
Yeah, it was so great to have you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy week to chat with us. And
Yeah.
listeners, as a reminder, we are also on socials, and Kelsey's gonna run you through those really quickly.
We are on Instagram at LiveVibesOnly_podcast and TikTok and YouTube at LiveVibesOnly_podcast. And of course, always go over to any podcasting platform you're on and rate and review us, but especially on Spotify and Apple. We greatly appreciate it. It helps our podcast be more seen by others. And gosh, what am I missing? Fable. Fable, we are now on Fable, which is where we host our monthly book clubs that you get to vote on which book is coming up next, which means you're voting on which books we are highlighting on our podcast. So if you want some authority in any of that, please go to Fable and check us out. We are both at Lit Vibes Only Podcast, and it either says Kelsey or Amanda, and that is the book club we are associated with.
We would love to have you. We love chatting with you guys, and it's just one more way to connect with all of you readers out there. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.